Awesome. And with that, I will pass it over to Catherine.
Awesome. Thank you, Akanksha. So I'm Catherine Clements, and as folks are getting set up, I want you to think about and toss into the chat, what is one limitation that you found in traditional textbooks for teaching human sexuality, either an entire course, or if you don't teach a full course of human sexuality, and you just try to integrate that kind of area or topic or content into another course, what is a limitation you found in textbooks that you use or you've looked at, reviewed? So as we are beginning, I want you to think about that. Keep that in mind and toss it into the chat any ideas that you have about limitations to traditional textbooks. Binary, yeah, always binary. Limited viewpoints or perspectives, cultural lens is lacking, updated content, yes, absolutely. No nuance, no mentions of transness, yes. Non-heteronormative intimate relationships get the shaft, yes, absolutely. These are excellent, not like excellent, but really good ideas about what's missing, what's lacking from our traditional textbooks. Wonderful. As you continue to think about those or come up with ideas, please do consent, yes. Medicine focus, also an excellent point, versus psychology. Go ahead and continue to drop those in. So if you are here to talk about how to design a queer inclusive human sexuality course using OER, you are in the right spot. As I said, I'm Catherine Clements. I am coming to you from Bemidji, Minnesota, in the northern part of the country of the United States, and it's been cold for a long time already. I'm sad about that. So my two major goals for today are to help you identify new sources of human sexuality, OER, that maybe you haven't considered before, and also let's think about how we can critique the level of inclusivity of stuff that we have existing. Many of you are already doing that. So how can we challenge existing limitations and do better, both for our students and for ourselves? And I also want to preface my discussion and our discussion today with the fact that I do identify as queer. I am also trans, I'm non-binary, so this is a personal source of frustration as well. To provide a little bit of setup, the experience that I'm coming to you today to talk about is from my human sexuality course. It's a 2000 level course out of the psychology department, so it's one of our electives. I am a psychologist. Human sexuality is also a liberal education option, so it is high enrollment. I teach the in-person, once upon a time, in-person section that has 100 people in it each semester, and I get majors all across. So people undeclared, lots of psych folks, but also lots of nursing folks, education folks, just people from all over departments. So excellent points. Oh, former Bemidji resident, wonderful. Undermining the meaning of language, yes, absolutely. So these are all excellent ideas about some of the limitations, and I echo all of those things that you folks have mentioned. Come back, chat. So what I found also is that they're too expensive. The textbooks that I've used have ranged from, just below $100 to over $100. They do become outdated way too quickly. I also find that they're written from a white, cis, heteronormative perspective, and I don't find that they are customizable. They're not dynamic in any way. So that's what I want for my textbooks to start off with. And I have tried a lot of different things. So I've tried more researchy oriented textbooks. I've tried more embracing diverse content, smaller publishers, bigger publishers. I've tried Top Hat, if any of you are familiar with that platform. It's a totally online platform. But I keep running into the issue that the language isn't always great. Sometimes specific topics are more sensationalized. I find this particularly when it comes to intersex conditions and intersex folks. The discussion of intersex conditions and syndromes is usually focused on what are their bodies like? What is that all about? So also for a 2000 level class, I've run into the issue of it's all research focused, which is fine. Research is great and important, but I also want to bring in practical skills. So as I have tried to figure out where is the happy medium, where can I have practical skills with good evidence-based information, I have done multiple preps. So this is my 4th year teaching at BSU. I have prepped this course 4 times. So what if you could pick some wonderful things for your wish list for a human sexuality textbook? What are some of those things on your list? Go ahead and drop them in the chat. Oh yeah, it is a lot of work, yes. Ooh, asexuality considered a disease, yes. Sexual dysfunction, not including non-binary and trans folks. So sex positive, that is an excellent point. Sex positive, cultural norms, simple, looking at relationships outside the binary, excellent, actually inclusive, right? Creating, oh, so I love this comment as someone interested in healthcare, I guess, how to create an open and safe environment with the individual. Absolutely. So we have a nursing program, a really nice nursing program. So I do get a lot of nursing folks. How do we help eventual healthcare providers to create good spaces and safe, inclusive spaces for their patients? Huge, huge deal. Consent, normalizing deep consent, building a safe space. These are all such wonderful, wonderful ideas. So I have a lot of the same things on my wish list. I want to center marginalized voices, particularly when it comes to cultural differences and racial differences. We approach things, we being psychologists, approach things from a deficit model. So here's the white standard. Oh, Black, Indigenous, people of color are not doing so well here with your STI rates and levels of sexual dysfunction. What's up with that? Well, you know, we need to bring in conversations about systemic oppression and the history of racism and enslavement, of course. I also want the text, the materials to be dynamic. I want them to be customizable. I want them to be cheap to free. Free is ideal. My students are primarily lower income. They are working to go to school. I don't want them to have to spend a lot of money. This is also an aside that I also love talking about. I have a mastery focused grading system. So I don't use points and I use authentic assessments. So I want to be actually assessing them what I want them to know. I think that everyone here is on board with why should it be queer inclusive, but let me just give you some reasons why. I want to depathologize queer identity. Some folks have already mentioned that, like ace is a disease, asexuality is weird and wrong. I want to challenge ideas of cisnormativity and heteronormativity. Doesn't always have to be straight folks, doesn't always have to be cis folks. And also normalize talking about queer and trans experiences. These are just different ways to be, not wrong or bad, they're just different. So I'm going to run through how I got to the point where I was like, all right, it's OER time. And then talk about how I did it. Hopefully give us some time for you to try it out. And then talk about some final thoughts and some best practices for implementing OER. So first up, I've gone through so many different textbooks and I thought, well, what if I just didn't use one? Like, do I need a textbook? As a very quick aside, Bemidji State University is part of the Minnesota state system. So we have a chancellor, we've got a bunch of other universities and colleges along with us in the system. And we're always getting emails, as I'm sure you all know. emails from the system, hey, these opportunities are available. One of them is an email comes in about an OER learning circle. And so I start thinking about, well, what is OER? What is the name of the assessment you use to assess your students? Catherine Clement, I design all my assessments. For my other courses, I pick up some other stuff and modify it, but I design all of my assessments. I am a masochist when it comes to teaching, that's why. So I get a message about OER learning circles. What is this? Well, it is an opportunity to learn how to adopt OER, redesign a course around OER, open educational resources, or develop some auxiliary materials, PowerPoint presentations for an open access textbook or test bank. So I decide, sure, this sounds like a great idea. In the summer of 2020, I applied for this before COVID happened. COVID, it's great. I do want to give a shout out to Karen Picula. She was wonderful. She is wonderful helping to organize and manage these learning circles. So the circle and the learning part was collaboration. Among other Min-State faculty, we had weekly Zoom meetings where we shared what we're working on, what we're doing, providing support, troubleshooting where we're running into issues, providing ideas and feedback. This is really wonderful because at the beginning and into the first couple weeks of the learning circle, I started to think, well, maybe I should just write my own textbook. Like, how hard could it be? I've got a couple months before the semester starts. Maybe I could do that. And the learning circle was great because I had a bunch of people to tell me, no, don't do that. What are you doing? No, that's a terrible idea. So then I finally caught on to really caught on to the concept of OER. There's a lot of stuff out there. There's a lot of stuff I could use. I just need to find it and put it all together before the semester starts. So I had this epiphany in about July. Our semester starts, a week before the end of August. I had plenty of time. So this is how I did it. And I do want to give a huge caveat. This is a high effort. What I'm about to show you, this is not required. This is just how I did it. So in addition to creating OER, or not creating OER, but designing my course around OER, I had a few other moving pieces happening. So I am also a Quality Matters convert. So I'm all about alignment of my learning objectives with the assessments I create and the instructional material. So everything has to fit together. Also, I needed to redesign my assessments of those learning objectives so I could create authentic assessments. I wanted to focus on the stuff I was assessing, I was measuring from them, and then sort of cut away all the extraneous stuff. So very simple 4 steps. Figure out what my course learning objectives are, check. I redesigned them the semester before, and I'm still sticking with them. Figure out what content I want to assess my students on. What am I going to deliver synchronously through lectures? What else do I need? So OER is going to fill in the rest. And it does sound a little simplistic, but I will show you how I did it and then give you some tools for thinking about and doing it yourself. So let's take this course learning objective. Explain symptoms, transmission, diagnosis, treatment, and prevention for STIs. This is a course level learning objective, and there is a part of a module that fits with this. So what do I want them to know in the course? What am I going to assess them on? Well, I want them to be able to spot symptoms of STIs, how they're going to get tested, what types of tests to get, how to get treatment, also how to engage with relationship partners. That's the life skills part. So I come up with a question like this. I have approximately 10 items per assessment for each learning objective. You're about to have sex with a cisgender man who says that, of course, I've been tested. My blood results came back negative. Being a savvy person who knows how STIs are tested, which of the following might you still be at risk for? And then this is a select all. Does anyone know? You want to drop in your answers into the chat? Yes. Oh, yeah, I'll be able to share my slides. That's no problem. All of the above. This is a tricky question. Any other guesses? No? A fair point, if it's in early stages, it might not show in blood. All right, I'm going to give you the answer. It's chlamydia and gonorrhea. And the reason for this is because chlamydia and gonorrhea are tested via urine, or for a cisgender man, a penile swab. Easily tested in urine, so unless you like penile swabs, urine test is fine. So this is practical information they need to know. They're engaging with a partner who may or may not be lying about what they got tested for. So this is what I want them to know. How am I going to get there? Well, in synchronous lecture, I'm going to give an overview of symptoms of STIs, talk about how they're diagnosed, how they're treated, and also talk about STI stigma. But then with my OER, I've got links to websites, information on Planned Parenthood, Scarletine, which I love to death. I also have some excerpts from a health science open access textbook, so I got some chapters there. I got some video content. Planned Parenthood has a lot of great videos, so I've got a video about getting tested and also one about how to talk to partners. So I provide in my, and this is probably really small, I apologize, we use D2L, so I organize by learning objective within each module. This is all the information that you need to know, and I also have detailed information on each link. Again, high effort. I want you to think about what is an obstacle for you for designing OER. Right now, what are you thinking is possibly an obstacle? Time, yes. This is also an obstacle for me. Time, absolutely. Oh, yes, evaluating sources. Yes. Oh, yeah, I do try to keep in mind the time and space that we're in. That's so important. That's part of the dynamic and customizable content. Finding content that fits. Yes. Yes, figuring out what works, what you need. Yes, how to approach the content without making someone uncomfortable and not creating a stigma. I tend not to have that problem because I'm kind of a jerk and I like to make people uncomfortable. Pushback from faculty members who don't want trans-inclusive material. Yes, absolutely. These are all extremely reasonable obstacles, and we all face different obstacles in our jobs and how we're trying to convey this information. But let me show you some things that you can do. And I am, come back chat, am going to also, see here, going to, and awkwardly search for something. So I am dropping into the chat and it's not uploading. Awkward. I will worry about this later. I have more things to talk about. Okay, so different ways you can find what you need. First, you have to think about how academic do you want to be. There are open access textbooks where you can get chunks from. There are no total human sexuality open access textbooks, which is why I'm in the predicament I'm in. You could, if you wanted to, have academic journal articles. I don't have it as a link right now. I should have done that before. You could link to blogs written by academics, have guest lectures or videos. OER Commons is a website where you can search for resources. OpenStax as well. The sociology, intro to sociology textbook has a section on intro to gender, sex, and sexuality, but some of the language is problematic. There's also wiki content, and I know you're probably like, Catherine, Wikipedia, what the hell? Wikipedia content is share alike, CC. There is a human sexuality wiki book It does take time to read through it and say, okay, I could use this, I could use chunks of this, but you could at least use it for yourself to provide an overview for some topics, and take and credit people who write stuff on the wikis that this is some really broad overviews. There's also websites that provide excellent queer-friendly content. Sexuality, cannot talk about this website enough. It's wonderful. Planned Parenthood also has excellent things. The site Oh Joy Sex Toy, they've got webcomics that address a variety of different topics. I link in my site, or my D2L site, Go Ask Alice at Columbia. So this is just a brief snippet of Oh Joy Sex Toy, their homologous, I always get that word wrong, genitals comic. You could also look at blogs. So blogs like Everyday Feminism, Wear Your Voice, Bitch Magazine, also centering intersectional and marginalized voices. Maybe include some videos. Sexplanations, another favorite of mine. Dr. Doe has some incredible content. BuzzFeed has some great videos from trans folks and queer folks. Podcasts, yes, absolutely. Even Crash Course and SciShow videos. I use these for like reproduction and some more biologically based stuff. And I, of course, have, I wanted to provide more space and time for you to search for things, but I am going to see just one last time if I can upload something, at least give you okay. Just awkwardly figuring this out. No, okay, it's not gonna let me. So I shall instead, okay, so you are seeing some links that I wanted to share with you. I will figure out a way I can include this somehow to give you some more ideas about where you can find things. So there are a variety of OER websites like Merlot and Lumen Learning, some academic blogs, feminist blogs, really great perspective on different issues, particularly from women of color and other folks of color. Getting YouTube videos from content like YouTube content creators who are themselves trans and queer, super important. And I love the, instead of having like, instead of having guest speakers, of course, now we are, no, we're not having guest speakers in person. Those videos will help to supplement that. So as some final thoughts, OER is also a garbage in, garbage out. So you can have the best of intentions, but obviously the execution needs to be important. Good. The great thing about OER though is that you have maximum flexibility. You can adjust it to the needs of your students, the needs of your pedagogy. You can also update it. And if you're interested in writing your own content, you can do that in chunks. So I also have some of my own content that I've written, but very few sprinkled throughout the course. As I plan eventually, of course, I imagine I will write my own human sexuality textbook. So some overall tips: have a plan before you start. Stick to the plan. Don't just scattershot. I speak from experience. Also search in batches. So today I'm going to look for anatomy links. Tomorrow I'm going to look for consent links. It's also fine and great if you find one site. Like I have so many Sexuality links and Planned Parenthood links, but it's good content. I also link to a variety of other like hospital, like the Mayo Clinic or Healthline, stuff that has good cited content. As you're going through the course, make notes about what you might want to revisit and change. What were people visiting? What were people not? So one good thing to do if as you are thinking about implementing OER, is have a plan. There are lots of different sources out there, way more than I've even mentioned and or know or think about. It's totally great that you can personalize OER for your own course. And also keep in mind, if you are also white like me, decentering white and also cishet perspectives is an ongoing process. And my anti-racism practice and education continues. So I will continue to try to disrupt the normative perspectives we have. All right, so I'm sorry I ran through that. You can follow me on Twitter or contact me on Twitter. I'm mostly angry on Twitter about a lot of things. But you can also send me an email. I'm happy to chat more. Would love to help out. And yeah, are there any questions that I have time for? Yes.
Hey, Catherine. I'm Angie Dotson, and I'm from UCCS in Colorado Springs. I am an instructional designer, and I am working on putting together some potential, resources for faculty to engage in more equitable, diverse, type of curriculum that is,
Awesome.
based on through the OER program that I have already kind of ongoing in teaching them how to do it, like much of what you've spoken about today. But do you have some very like pointed resources that would actually be more kind of like from multiple perspectives, in ways that I could make this subject matter more from other viewpoints? Have you found anything that, a good collection, a good place in the OER world that I could turn to?
That is an excellent question. I don't. Unfortunately, one of the limitations of and human sexuality should not be a niche field. Queer inclusive, trans inclusive content for any discipline should not be a niche thing, but it is right now. And even for example, and now I can't remember, I'm going to slander somebody and I don't remember which website, but there was an OER website that had a link in the gender category to a PragerU video. And I pulled a Karen and sent an email to the manager. I was like, you need to take this down. This is ridiculous.
Right.
So I don't. I'll just keep doing what you're doing. It's wonderful. Encouraging people to seek out different perspectives. There are some really good modules and there's some really good content out there, but yeah, a lot of it is still cis heteronormative and we still have a long way to go. So I really wish I could just give you a pithy answer, but I cannot.
No, that's okay. Okay. That's why I thought I would ask, because as we go through and we search, we find stuff, we kind of make note of that. And so I just thought it would be worth an ask. So thank you.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
Awesome.
And I wish I could just send everyone the files, but I do have both a that link that list of sources that I screen share, but I also am very happy to share my sort of overall guide for my class. I did provide a Word doc with a bunch of links for students who might not have regular internet access. So a huge chunk of the links that I have in my D2L shell, as well as study guides for all of my modules, are on that. Do you get Native students registering in my class? Yes, I do. I do occasionally. Yes, actually, if you could send me an email, I will send anything you like to you. That would be wonderful.
Catherine,
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Heather. I will edit my shed description. Sorry, Kanisha, you're trying to talk to me.
No, that's okay. The sketch thing is a great idea. Or I can also make you a full host and see if that allows you to upload the file quickly, and then we'll have to just wrap up here.
Yeah, that's worth a try.
Yeah, we'll try it. May as well. So there you go. You should be the full host now. Technology is great, folks.
See. No, it's still not doing it. That's all right, but I absolutely will. I can put some things in a Dropbox folder and link that, which I should have done before. What a good idea.
No, it
Well,
happens.
thank you all for your questions and for your comments. I very much enjoyed it. And please do contact me if you have any other questions. I will do the thing with the Dropbox link and update my sked. I don't know. I will do it.
That needs sked. But thank you so much, Catherine, for the presentation. It was really well done, and I'm sure everyone learned something from the comments or from the chat box. It looked like people were quite engaged.
Wonderful. I'm gonna stop sharing that.
And you might have to give me back the host privileges so I can stop the recording, or you can stop the recording.
I will stop the recording.